Good morning, Sun City residents. This is Rusty Bradshaw with Sun City News and Stuff, and I'm going to give you some highlights from the Mountain View Town Hall that was conducted last night at Sundial Center. And the Triarch representatives, who are the architects for this proposed reconstruction of Mountain View, gave a presentation of three permutations of the option 3 that the board voted on, and residents had a consensus that they wanted from numerous options that were presented in a previous town hall meeting at Sundial. Now, they joked about the fact that they want to keep their creative juices for the actual design itself. So naming these three permutations was pretty simple. First, there was option 3, option 3A, and option 3B. This is what option 3 looks like. Now, I will read off the specific elements that will be included in option 3. There will be a shared site area, storm retention, parking repaving, an outdoor kitchen, which is basically a couple of stand-up barbecue sets, pickleball courts, clubhouse, pickleball walkways and shade areas, tennis, mini golf building, mini golf shaded seating, aquatics demo and deck replacement, existing pool modification, aquatics locker building, pool equipment covering, therapy pool, aquatics AV system, the performance area, which is basically the Performing Arts Center, fitness area, and facilities. And the last item, facilities, is basically an office and other spaces for workers at Mountain View to use when they are working at the facility. Option 3 would come at a cost of $32,696,901. Now, Triarch representatives stressed that the cost estimates for each of these three options included everything. The work they've done so far, permits and fees, construction costs, labor, materials, so on. Everything is included in these costs. So option 3, again, is $32,696,901. That's their estimate. Now for option 3, and I won't show you a picture because it's pretty much the same, but all elements from option 3 will be included with some exceptions. They would eliminate the outdoor kitchen. The existing clubhouse would remain as is. Existing tennis would remain as is. The existing mini golf building will remain as is. And the mini golf shaded seating would be eliminated. Also eliminated would be the therapy pool. The performance area, the PAC, would be reduced to 16,559 square feet and 384 seats. The fitness area would be reduced to 7,988 square feet, and the facilities area would be reduced to 968 square feet. That option comes at an estimated cost of $28,010,819. The final option, option 3B, would be the same as option 3 with the following exceptions. Instead of rebuilding the clubhouse, they would just renovate it to 575 square feet. The same would be true with the mini golf building. Instead of building new, they would renovate, and it would be 338 square feet. And the same reductions for the Performing Arts Center, the fitness, and the facilities as in option 3A. Now, the option 3B estimated cost would be $29,149,610. Now, as those of you who have followed this remember, Rec Center's officials have a projected budget for the Mountain View renovation of just over $28 million. Now that I've gone through that, I want to talk a little bit about a study they did on the seating for the Performing Arts Center. They looked at fixed seating versus retractable seating. And the gist of it is, the fixed seating is the least costly, the most efficient, because retractable seating would take up to 4 hours for setup and replacement. It would be all mechanized, which would mean there could be mechanical issues, whereas fixed seating would need none of that. And before I go on to some of the comments that were made by the Triarch officials that kind of amplify some of the things they said, I want to talk a little bit about something that several people came up to the podium last night and said. They wanted to have the board and Triarch re-examine the possibility of siting the Performing Arts Center at Sundial Center with retractable seating. As explained by Triarch, if you use that retractable seating, you have to build a permanent shell where those seats would fold up into. That means that wall can't be taken down. That's going to have to be in Sundial Auditorium permanently. That would reduce the space you have for that main floor. And I can tell you that one very popular activity that's done there, the men's club bingo, would be severely limited, maybe even eliminated, if they put the theater Performing Arts Center at Sundial. So people need to consider that. And there are upwards of 500 people weekly going to that bingo. They've hovered just over 400. I've been there when there have been 500, a couple of times 600 people there playing. So that's a lot of people who would be put out of a weekly activity. Now on to the Triarch people. Tom Connor recapped the community engagement they've done so far, and we've gone over that enough. I don't want to repeat it, but there has been extensive outreach to community residents, and their task, according to Connor, is to size the project to fit the budget. Now, Brad Lang said cost reduction comes with trade-offs. So if you reduce the total cost, something's going to have to be given up or reduced. The thing with the Mountain View campus is that it's very old and it has not kept up with code. So whatever work they do there, they're going to have to bring it up to code. That includes parking and electrical and so on and so forth. And the most notable thing to be brought up to code is how they handle the storm runoff, water retention. And again, he emphasized that the cost estimates in each of these options included everything from start to finish. There would be no add-ons and so on. Okay, Eric Stern, in talking about the retractable seating, he said what you're talking about with retractable seating in this instance is not like you see in a gymnasium, the wood seating. These would have cushioned seats that would fold up as the seats were retracted. That would be part of the time-consuming part of setup. As these retractable seats are turned on to extend out, they go very slowly. And then people will have to go up and put the seats up because they've folded for storage. They'd have to go up and put them up one by one. That's why we're talking 2 hours for setup, 2 hours for takedown. Now, retractable and fixed seating would work, either one would work in the Performing Arts Center that they will be designing. But Tri-Arc's reps recommended going with the fixed seating. And this is the only thing that they recommended last night, is to go with the fixed seating. They did not recommend any of the three options. That's going to be left up to residents and the board. Now, the fixed seating would be more like a theater, in that the floor would be sloped upward. And as it got higher, the slope would be a little steeper. The fixed seating would have areas in the front, in the middle, and in the back for handicapped accessible seating. One resident talked about, yes, you have areas for wheelchair bound people, but there's no, at least in the preliminary photos and drawings that we saw last night, there was nothing set aside for a companion of that disabled person to sit next to them. Now, Eric Stern said that can be worked out as they go further in the design phase. He stressed that what they had right now for these options is still kind of preliminary and can be tweaked as we go. One other thing about fixed seating as opposed to retractable seating is that with retractable seating, you can only have those handicap accessible seats in the front and at the very top, which means you'd have to have an elevator, whereas fixed seating you would not. And he stressed the point that fixed seating allows for the handicap accessible seating to be dispersed, front row, middle, top. The fixed seating also has the lowest ongoing cost. With the retractable seating, you have to have inspections annually for the mechanical and the electrical. Now, Brad Lang also said that with fixed seating at Mountain View, that would open up other flat floor spaces in Sun City for other activities. And there are a number of flat floor spaces in Sun City. It was also mentioned by Eric Stern and a couple of residents who are familiar with theater and the retractable seating, is that fixed is more solid. And if you've been on retractable seating, you know that it kind of wobbles a little bit and that it's very noisy as you walk on it. And with fixed seating, you can get more seats in the primary sight lines, as opposed to retractable seatings where there would be not as many. So that's the highlights from the town hall. There will be more communication about Mountain View. There will be more updates monthly. So keep an eye out for announcements for meetings. Be ready to provide your input if the board or Triarch contacts you. And this project will continue to move forward. We're a little ways off from groundbreaking, but all these details need to be worked out before things get going. So that's it for now, and thank you for watching.